Noel grew up idolizing his legendary grandfather, a hero so epic he probably had his own action figure line. Naturally, Noel decided he'd follow in those heroic footsteps and become the strongest seeker ever. There was just one teeny problem. When his job was appraised, he didn't get a badass frontline fighter or some flashy mage class. He got Talker, a support class with the combat power of a wet noodle. The merciless methods he employed for the sake of his ambition were acknowledged by everyone as the path of evil. However, Noel's distinct talent attracted many powerful people, and they began to gather under him. This is the wild tale of how the most evil talker flipped the script, bent the rules, and built the strongest clan the world's ever seen.
Nice.
In a world where magic gets so intense it tears open portals to hellish dimensions called abysses, a sleepy little town becomes ground zero for disaster. Out of one of these abysses crawl beast lords, hulking, disgusting monsters hungry for chaos and carnage. Overdeath, the town's ultimate badass grandpa on steroids with a giant axe and the reputation to match. His grandson, ugly, disgusting Noel, begs him not to face these monsters alone.
Stop it. Get some help.
But Overdeath, being the brain dead he is, just grunts and told him to not look down on his muscle brain geezer. By morning, the town's in ruins, and Noel finds Overdeath on death's doorstep. With his last breath, Grandpa drops some sage advice. Seekers, the ones who brave the abysses, walk hand in hand with death. He asks him if he still wants to be one. Noel, because he's built different, with his ugly eyes declares he'll be the ultimate seeker. And just like that, the torch is passed. Fast forward 2 years, Noel's all grown up and leading his own squad, Blue Beyond, into an abyss. They've got Walter, the ugly dumb warrior, Tanya, the ever-virgin healer, and Lloyd, the disgusting maniac swordsman. And Noel, he's a loser talker, the weakest support class. Yep, his job is basically giving pep talks with magical buffs. Walter, naturally, can't resist poking fun at him, questioning his strategies, and generally being a pain. Noel being ugly, he is claps back, pointing out that without his buffs, they'd all be abyss fodders. Right on cue, disaster strikes when the squad gets hit with a gas attack. Walter's bickering costs them precious seconds, and things start going downhill fast. But Noel isn't about to let this turn into a disaster movie. Fueled by rage, he roars disgustingly and cranks out a series of buffs like a DJ dropping fire beats. Strength, stamina, mana, you name it, Noel's buffing it. He even calms virgin Tanya's nerves mid-freakout, while the squad handles the big bad, a grotesque queen monster. Noel whips out a gun and picks off the lesser creatures. Everything's going like clockwork. Literally, Noel's timing every move to the second, barking commands like a battlefield maestro. By the end, the queen's head rolls, Abyss is cleansed, and Noel is sitting on the ground, checking his watch like, yep, called it. What? Back in the imperial capital of Betrayal, it's celebration time. Drinks flow, and the squad enjoys a well-earned breather. Well, most of them. Walter and Noel still can't resist sniping at each other. Walter accuses Noel of being greedy, and Noel, ever pragmatic, remembers his grandpa's words. Good gear ain't cheap, and cheap gear ain't good. When they get their payout, though, the squad realizes the cash is laughably small for the risk they took. Noel, ever the schemer, drops a bombshell. How about they start their own clan? He even offers to bankroll it with his personal stash. The group is skeptical and honestly broke, but Noel lays out the benefits and makes it clear they're in or he's out. After some back and forth, Lloyd, the party leader, agrees to manage the startup funds. Everyone goes to bed with plans to kick things off the next day. The next morning, when Walter comes bursting into Noel's room, yelling that Lloyd and Tanya skipped town. Just like that, the squad is down 2 members, up 1 Betrayal, and left to figure out how to bounce back. What? Turns out, not only did they ghost Walter and Noel, but they also straight up embezzled the party's funds. The ugly, disgusting duo didn't just stroll out. They bolted just before the city gates slammed shut for the night. Noel's not exactly the forgive and forget type, so when Walter starts ranting about punching Lloyd in the face and calling it even, wiling to dogfight to the death situation, he figures Lloyd and Tanya are betting on them not giving chase since the cash is gone. But Noel's disgusting brain is already 5 steps ahead. Step 1. Hit up the local seeker hangout, the Orc Club. Noel swaggers in, slaps down a bounty on ugly virgin Lloyd and brain-dead Tanya, and watches as the entire bar clears out like someone yelled free loot. But wait, Noel's not done scheming. An older guy sidles up, claiming he knows exactly where the runaway traders are headed. After some haggling because Noel's wallet is still feeling that betrayal burn, the guy spills the details. Noel sends Walter to the south gate with the informant, while he handles some business. Meanwhile, Lloyd and Tanya are nearing some backwater village, thinking they've pulled off the heist of the century. Wrong. Noel, with his disgusting eyes, shows up like an avenging ghost, hits them with a stun move, and suddenly they're surrounded. Walter, Noel, and the old guy's 4-person posse form a circle that screams you messed up. The brain-dead Walter goes for the confrontation, but then Lloyd, in a moment of peak cowardice, admits he gambled the effing money away and got into debt. He tries to blame everyone else for his screw-up, whining about how leadership was so hard. Noel's response, a Spartan kick straight to the chest.
Nice.
Noel doesn't stop there. He's handing out kicks like they're on sale, and Tanya, desperate, begs him to stop. Noel's all, "Oh, you volunteering to take his place. I don't discriminate." Then, like the dramatic mastermind he is, Noel casts a confess spell on Tanya and makes her spill the tea. Spoiler, she's been gambling too. Before they can process the awkward tension, the old guy's asking about his payment. Noel tells him to chill, but the old man grabs him, which earns him a Noel punch to the chest special. Then, a carriage pulls up, and who's in it? None other than Finocchio Barzini, slave trader extraordinaire. Noel, ever the problem solver, decides selling Lloyd and Tanya into slavery is way better than reporting them to the military. Tanya goes full drama queen, begging for forgiveness, but Noel's got zero sympathy left. She even turns on Walter, insulting him when he refuses to help. With the traitors dealt with, Noel and Walter head back to the capital. At the bar, the muscle brain, Walter told Noel that he's quitting the whole seeker gig. The next day, Noel shows up to send him off with a bottle of booze because, despite everything, he's not heartless. As Noel walks away, Walter whispers something that actually tugs at your heartstrings, telling him that he was the best brother-in-arms a guy could ask for. The Virgin Disgusting is Noel's at a rowdy tavern, trying to rebuild Blue Beyond and wrangle up some fresh recruits. Enter the dumbass Lightning Bites Wolf, who tries to poach Noel into his party instead. Noel not having it, unless, of course, they make him leader of Lightning Bite. Bold move. While they're bantering, a hot chick with large melons named Alma stealthily sneaks up behind Noel. Turns out she's been hunting him down, wanting to join his party. Alma's a scout, rank C, but don't let that fool you. This girl's got skills. Turns out her grandpa once fought over death and walked away minus an arm. Guess badassery runs in the family. Alma doesn't really care about being a seeker though. She's laser focused on Noel. To prove she's no lightweight, she beats the snot out of a strong opponent in the tavern. We get her backstory. Trained in the mountains, almost rank B, once on track to join the Society of Assassins. But her killer instincts were too good, so she got rejected for, being a bit too murdery. Apparently, the Society's gone corporate, leaning more toward government espionage than random assassinations these days. Noel, intrigued but cautious, decides to test her. They head to the mountains, where he experiments with his talker buffs, because these things can get gnarly if you're not used to them. Noel's big idea: have Alma catch one of the infamous killer rabbits while buffed. Alma, being the overachiever she is, doesn't just catch one, she snags all 13 in the area. Noel's impressed. She's officially passed his test. Time for their first job together. Noel gets a letter from Mint's Village, a place he's helped before. Seems a gang of thieves is causing trouble, so off they go on a stagecoach. Along the way, Noel gives Alma a crash course in seeker gigs, thieves, abysses, you name it. When they arrive, every inn is booked solid. Eventually, they find a room, but it's got just one bed for a cozy hot night. Noel, ever the gentleman, offers Alma the bed. Alma, ever the wild card, suggests they share it instead. Noel heads off for a bath, and when he returns, Alma's admiring his toned physique. She gets really wet for a moment, saying his muscles are proof of how hard he's had to work. But hard work can't beat natural talent. Deep stuff. Noel, slightly thrown, crashes into bed. Cut to the next morning. Noel wakes up nestled between Alma's assets. And that, my friends, is how this quirky duo kicks off their partnership. Noel and Alma roll into town, ready to tackle their latest job. The mayor greets them, but his face says, "Seriously? Just two of you?" His family invites them in for tea, where they break down the job. 20 bandits terrorizing nearby towns. They also talk payment, and the mayor's eagerness to cough up the cash sets off Noel's inner something's fishy radar. As they're leaving, the mayor's daughter, who is definitely crushing on Noel, stops him for a chat. Fast forward to the thieves' hideout, and surprise, it's not 20 bandits, it's a whole army, led by none other than the disgusting Gordo the Razorblade, a wanted man with a bounty big enough to make Noel drool. Alma uses her stealth skills to get into position, while Noel pulls out his talker magic, linking their minds so they can communicate telepathically. When the time's right, Noel stuns the entire crew with stun howl and orders Alma to take Gordo out. She moves like a shadow, slicing and dicing until Gordo's head is rolling. Then, it's game over for the rest of the goons. Easy as pie. They drag Gordo's head back to the mayor and demand payment, but instead of handing over the cash, the mayor invites them to dinner. Over the meal, the mayor's daughter tells Noel she wants to be a seeker just like him. He gives her the real talk about the hardships of the job, but says if she gets strong enough, she can join Blue Beyond someday. Then comes the wine. The mayor pours for everyone, but Noel flips the script, insisting the mayor take the first sip. The tension is palpable. Noel accuses the mayor of poisoning the wine, dropping his Sherlock-level observations. The bandit numbers were a lie. The wine smelled off like it had been opened before. And, oh yeah, the mayor's murderous intent was practically screaming. Caught red-handed, the mayor snaps, screaming for them to leave. Noel responds by taking out the guy's eye. Desperate, the mayor offers the agreed-upon payment, but Noel isn't feeling generous. He demands everything. And when the mayor refuses, Noel starts going for the other eye. That's when the mayor confesses. He's up to his ears in debt with the Gambino family. Then the mayor's daughter comes in, who hands over every last coin in the house, begging Noel to spare her dad. With the cash in hand, Noel and Alma head out, leaving the girl heartbroken and cursing Noel's name. As they leave town, they spot an airship, one that belongs to an Empire-recognized clan. Noel explains to Alma how elite you've got to be to achieve that status. Then he makes a bold declaration. In a year, Blue Beyond will have one of the those airships. Meanwhile, Alma has a flashback to her Assassin Society test. She remembers the brutal truth. She's not her grandfather's granddaughter, she's his daughter. Turns out her dad raised his kids like weapons, all to erase the humiliation of his loss to Overdeath. Alma had to kill him as part of the test, and when she failed to find her place in the Assassin Society, she was left adrift. But the society's leader told her about Noel. Back in the present, Alma's memory ends, and in a moment of pure emotion, she hugs Noel. Caught off guard, she pulls back and told him that she'll always be by his side. Noel's morning routine, brutal. As he powers through his training, his mind drifts back to his grandfather's unique teaching method. You're a talker, kid. You can't buff yourself, so I'm just gonna make your life hell until you're strong enough anyway. It worked, but not quite enough for Noel to shake Alma's stingy reminder. He'll never match a naturally gifted frontline fighter. Afterward, in the shower, he broods over her words, which linger like a bad song stuck in his head. Then again, Noel isn't one to mope for long. Alma, who shows up early and looking way too chipper, she grabs Noel's arm and declares they're on a date. Noel doesn't argue. What's the point? They swing by the appraisal guild first, discussing Alma's future rank-ups. Noel suggests waiting until they find a third-party member. Alma humors him for now. Next stop, the dwarf-run smithy. The blacksmith greets them, quickly shifting his attention to Alma's undeniable assets. Alma's unfazed. Noel just sighs. From there, they hit the bookstore. Noel's books are in another shop, so he hands Alma a budget and warns her not to blow it. She disappears, and when they meet back up, she has a bear. What the hell, Alma? Noel demands, expecting an explanation. Alma proudly shows him her haul, an armor-piercing book and the bear, exactly within budget. Noel can't decide if he's impressed or annoyed. When Alma asks if he bought anything, Noel admits the exorcism book he wanted was way out of his price range. Before Alma can tease him, Noel spots someone suspicious and bolts. Enter Loki, the ultimate intel gatherer. Loki's a guy who can literally morph into anyone, which makes him Noel's go-to for dirt. Loki hands over info on Hugo Capilia, a guy Noel believes was framed. Noel's got plans to recruit Hugo into Blue Beyond, but that's not all. Loki also drops a bombshell. A new drug is circulating, and it's being pushed by the Gambino family, a subfamily of the infamous Luciano clan. That's bad news, even for Noel. Meanwhile, Alma is fuming. Noel's been gone way too long. As Noel leaves the slums, he spots a homeless guy who looks seriously out of place. Being sly, Noel drops a coin in front of him. The man calls Noel out, insisting he take his money back. When the guy mistakes Noel for a girl, Noel quickly clears that up. But things escalate when the bum grabs Noel. In response, Noel delivers a solid kick to the guy's chest. Turns out, this bum knows how to fight, and the two square off. The guy, Koga, is from a far-off island in the east, and Noel is intrigued. Just as they're about to throw down for real, a man named Miguel shows up, shouting Koga's name and scolding him like an unruly pet. Here's the kicker. Miguel owns Koga as a slave. Miguel immediately pivots from scolding Koga to hitting on Noel, thinking he's a woman. Bad move. Noel kicks Miguel so hard he dents a wall. Then, Noel pulls his gun and starts grilling Miguel for answers. Turns out Miguel was running an underground fighting ring and got caught skimming cash. He's now on the run from the mob. Noel quickly weighs his options. Kill Miguel, keep Koga, and no one would bat an eye. After all, Miguel's as disposable as yesterday's garbage. The crack of a gunshot cuts through the air, and Noel, looking like he's about to fall asleep from sheer disappointment, fires a round just above Miguel's head. His aim? Not Miguel. He's too pathetic to waste effort on. It's Koga, the quiet powerhouse standing there, chained by loyalty or fear or whatever excuse he's telling himself. Noel shakes his head, wondering why Koga, who's more than capable of snapping Miguel like a twig, hasn't already freed himself. Fast forward to Noel showing up at the cafe where Alma's been waiting and stewing. She's not alone. Licia, another seeker, is there too. They're chatting about the newest street drug making its rounds when Noel casually drops some advice. Watch out for that stuff and tell your party too. Lycia's stunned. Concern from Noel, the guy who'd probably charge you for a bandage if you were bleeding out. She leaves with a promise to hang out with Alma later, which Alma eagerly translates into, "We're officially BFFs now." Meanwhile, Miguel's day takes a nosedive. He gets snagged by Albert Gambino, the absolute worst person he could have run into. Gambino has a flair for the dramatic and the horrifying. He's planning to turn Miguel and Koga into sausages, stuff their skins into plush toys, and mail them back to the family Miguel betrayed. But wait, it gets worse. The mayor of Mint's village shows up, spins a web of lies about Noel stealing his money, and claims Noel insulted the Gambino family's honor. Gambino, not one to miss a chance for revenge, decides to hunt Noel down. As for the mayor, Gambino orders Koga to chop off the guy's arm using the mayor's own crutch. The mayor's stunned, then crutchless, and armless in one swift move. Gambino, delighted by Koga's efficiency, decides to keep him around. Miguel, ever the opportunist, happily offers up Koga as his replacement in the family's roster of misery. Koga, dressing in silence, reflects on his nightmare of a life. His backstory's a whole soap opera of tragedy. Rich parents praying for a child, an assault that destroyed his family, a mother who couldn't bear the pain, and a father who took out his grief on Koga. Sold into slavery and thrown into fight pits, Koga only found purpose in survival and fleeting praise for his wins. Late that night, Noel's called to a sketchy meeting spot by Loki, his informant. Loki drops a bombshell. The Gambino family's gunning for Noel. Naturally, Noel's less than thrilled and quickly figures out Loki sold him out. Loki, knowing the jig is up, stands his ground, but Noel lets him go So instead of finishing him off. Why? Because Noel's already planning something much bigger, the total takedown of the Gambino family. Koga comes in, who shows up as Gambino's assassin. The irony, Koga's not exactly thrilled about the job. He even tells Noel he'd rather not, but orders are orders. The fight kicks off, and it's chaos from the start. Noel fires off a flaming bullet, but Koga dodges it like it's nothing. Then, Noel aims low, very low, and Koga's immediate reaction is a yelp of, "That's cheating." Noel shrugs. It's a fight to the death, dude. No rules. Flash bombs fly, counters are pulled, and the fight tilts in Koga's favor. As Noel's knocked down, he lets out a desperate stun howl, but Koga shrugs it off like it's just a mild headache. The tables have turned, and Noel's got one chance to figure out how to win before he becomes just another name on Gambino's hit list. That's the end of the recap. Let us know if you want part 2 by leaving a comment in the comment section down below. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel to become lucky one same as our virgin MCs. See you guys in the next video.